Where are the other 20,000 projects then?
If I knew, sir, I would have a different answer to that question. I don't know, sadly.
Back in January, the Conservatives won the fight to audit the Liberals' $187 billion infrastructure plans for Canada. However, the Liberals are not about to make holding them accountable all that easy. Seeking transparency for the taxpayers who are on the hook for nearly $200 billion in infrastructure spending is going to be difficult work. Now, that's because Canada's Auditor General told the House of Commons Finance Committee that his office has had to suspend work on all but 3 audits because the funding provided to them by the Liberal government in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic is just not enough to get the work done. Of all the things the Liberals spend money on to grow the size of government, they've underfunded the one agency responsible for holding them accountable on behalf of the taxpayer. Can't the Liberals just pretend the Auditor General is a convicted terrorist crying about sleep deprivation at the hands of the Americans and then, just give him $10.5 million to get the job done? Now, all bad jokes aside, the reason the Liberals have intentionally underfunded the Auditor General is in today's Blacklock's reporter. It sounds like the Liberals know they have a real mismanagement scandal unfolding at infrastructure under Minister Catherine McKenna. Just look at this. Parliament's Budget Office can find no evidence of 20,000 projects subsidized with billions in federal tax dollars. Infrastructure Minister Catherine McKenna would not document where funds were spent. The Commons Government Operations Committee was told, "I don't have proof they exist." Now, on March 10th, McKenna published her 2020-2021 Infrastructure Department plan where she wrote, "Since the Investing in Canada plan was launched, over 52,000 projects have been announced government-wide with contributions of approximately $57.5 billion. Now, here is the whopper in all of this. She wrote, "Almost all of these projects are either started or completed." That's apparently a big fat lie. Let's go back to Blacklock's again, and then I'm going to show you a video clip that proves Catherine McKenna is a liar. Look at this. Budget Officer Giroux said he could find no records on more than a third of projects started or completed, a total of 20,000. Now, I dug up the incredible exchange between Conservative MP Kelly McCauley and Parliamentary Budget Officer Yves Giroux, where Giroux tells the House Operations Committee that he has no proof that 20,000 of McKenna's 52,000, quote, started or completed projects even exist at all. Just watch this potential multi-billion-dollar Liberal scandal unfold in a normally boring Zoom committee meeting.
The Minister of Infrastructure said they've created or supported 53,000 projects with the funds so far. So I assume the department can give you the list of these 53,000 projects. Now, do you have that list?
That's a very reasonable assumption. Once you hear that there is such a list, we've asked the department and we have been able to find information for 33,000 of these projects. So we have not been able to see a list that includes all these 52 or 53,000 projects, only 33,000 of these projects.
Where are the other 20,000 projects then?
If I knew, sir, I would have a different answer to that question. I don't know, sadly.
Oh, you mentioned it'd be a reasonable question, but obviously it's not reasonable with the ministry. Have you received all the information you've asked for?
With respect to infrastructure, except for the missing pieces, which are an important aspect, yes. So when we ask for information,
do you think those other 20,000 projects exist?
I believe they do exist, but it's hard. It's hard to be convinced. So I have faith they do exist, but I don't have proof that they exist.
Imagine trying to pull the kind of BS artistry that McKenna is doing in the private sector without getting canned or ending up in the slammer for misrepresenting what you're doing with shareholder money. Because isn't that what we are? We are the shareholders of these tax dollars, us taxpayers. Now back to that Blacklock's article again for a second, because the Liberals are not just underfunding the Parliamentary Budget Office that holds them accountable, but they are absolutely stonewalling any attempts to get information on what is actually happening with hundreds of billions of dollars in infrastructure spending. And the Liberals have been doing this for months now. One budget office analyst earlier told the Commons Finance Committee that investigators tried for months to get a complete list of public works subsidized by taxpayers. No complete list has been forthcoming. Jason Jacques, a Director General of Costing at the Budget Office, testified on March 10th. We are in active and ongoing negotiations with Infrastructure Canada and multiple departments and agencies to try to compile a list, said Jacques. How many billions are missing from the list? Asked Conservative MP Pierre Poilievre. About half the program. Do you think for a second that Revenue Canada would negotiate with you to turn over information, or would they just come and take it and then maybe toss you in jail? So why are the people who audit the government negotiating here? And why do the Liberals think that they should be able to negotiate with auditors? These Liberals promised us more open and transparent government, and yet they want to spend hundreds of billions of dollars without House of Commons oversight, and now without auditors checking to make sure the government is at least putting the money where they say it's going to go. This is outrageous. Why are the Liberals doing this? Well, the answer is simple. It's because they can. Because the mainstream media won't hold them to account. Because Justin Trudeau uses his goons to ban journalists who would ask questions about a potential fraud unfolding at infrastructure from his daily press conferences. It's because the Liberals only need Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa to get reelected. It's because there is no more inept minister in all of government than Catherine McKenna. She was a total laughingstock when she was at Environment and Climate Change Canada, and now she's lost track of half of her entire budget at infrastructure, while simultaneously being clueless enough and arrogant enough to brag about just how good she is at her job. These people should be answering investigators' questions, not blowing off work to go kayaking. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If Justin Trudeau thinks that hauling our reporters out of his daily press conferences using his taxpayer-funded security detail is going to stop us from holding him to account, he's got another thing coming. We don't answer to Justin Trudeau. We answer to folks like you at home. To help us hold the government to account, please go to helprebelnews.com.